So welcome to the third and final session in our Falkirk Apple RTC series looking at exploring learner engagement. In this session, we're going to be looking at mastery through quizzing using the platform Quizzes. For those of you who don't know me already, that are on the call, I know a couple of you. My name is Lauren McKechnie and I'm a biology and science teacher currently on secondment as an education support officer with Falkirk Council and the Connected Falkirk team. I'm also an Apple professional learning specialist. Now in today's session, we are going to do a whirlwind tour of one of my favourite tools in the world, Quizzes. And the plan for this session is on the screen just now. So we're going to look very briefly at learner engagement in general. Then I'm going to give you an introduction to quizzes before we dive a little bit deeper in how to create, enhance and analyse your quizzes and lessons. Finally, we're going to come back to this set of presentations so that I can tell you where you can go and learn more about quizzes after today's session. As I could honestly go on for hours if you let me about quizzes. I could genuinely sit here for a few hours this evening and tell you all about it, all my favourite features, but we're only obviously going to be able to cover a limited amount of things today because we only have an hour for this session. So just a quick intro. For this series, we are focusing on learner engagement. Now, learner engagement is a really complex thing, and it's difficult to pin down to only one definition. Now, you can trust me on that, as I tried as part of my master's degree. Now, when we think of learner engagement, we normally jump to things like cognitive engagement, so how much the children in front of us are thinking about what they are learning, which is something that's really hard to tell. Or we think of things like physical or behavioural engagement, so how they look when they are in class, are they engaging? Do they look like they're looking at me? Those types of things. Now, for those kind of things, they're quite difficult to tell, and they're the main things that we seem to look at though. We all want to get learners engaged in our lessons, but actually there are lots of different ways that they can be engaged, and there's just a few of those on the screen just now. Now, as I said, it's all of our dreams that every single learner in front of us is engaged in our lessons, and there's no quick fix or magic wand that we can wave to get this right every single time. But hopefully today, I'm going to show you one tool that I found that helps with improving learner engagement, and more importantly, learning within my own classroom, and hopefully it'll be useful for yours as well. So, what is Quizzes? Well, Quizzes is one of my favourite things in the world. I use it all the time in my classes. I've used it for about 8 or 9 years now, and I absolutely love technology. Any technology that can help me work smarter and not harder. And I think we're all in that kind of boat as well. Things that will decrease workload, but increase engagement and what we can do within our lessons. Now, as educators, we are always looking for ways to elevate assessment, instruction, and practice in our classrooms to be able to motivate, engage, and meet the needs of those learners that are in front of us. Now, you can use quizzes for instruction, for practice, or even for assessments, and everything is in one place so that it's super easy to do that. What it allows you to do is plan engaging but rigorous quizzes, lessons, or activities in a matter of minutes. And I feel like that's one of the few platforms that allows you to do all of those things. A lot of the time when you come across quizzing platforms, they're just for quizzing, they're just for practice. They maybe don't have the option built in for you to be able to do lessons or to be able to do assessments with them as well. So basically, I think it has everything in there. There's loads of features, as I said, that I could run through for hours, but this is a cut down version of the original plan that I had for today because I realised that it just wouldn't all fit into 1 hour. So do feel free to get in touch with me or let me know in the comments if there's anything you still want to go over at the end, if there's anything I can help with, anything I can help you learn more about. So I know that pretty much everyone in the call, as far as I'm aware, has at least used quizzes once before, which is good. And what I'll do just really quickly is explain how to set up your quizzes account. Okay, so when you go into Quizzes and you log in, you should be able to see a screen like this. Now, Quizzes has a free basic account you can sign up for. There are some features that are super or premium, but recently they introduced a free for schools option for schools in the UK where you get 100% free lifetime access to the top 3 premium features. So these are the premium question types, which you're going to get to try out all of them later. The premium library, so that is all of the questions that anyone has uploaded and made public on quizzes. And you also get Quizzes AI Create, which we're going to go through a lot of today. To get that free for schools option, you need to get 5 people in your school to sign up or join your school on their Quizzes account. I'll share all of the information on how to do this in an email after the session, but it's really, really easy. So you can do the same as well. If your school isn't on it already, make sure you sign up today to your school and you try and promote the word with other people in your school after this session. Share the recording with them, see if they want to join as well. And once you have 5 people, you'll get that free for schools access. Now, there is an app available for quizzes, but to be honest, I've never used it. I always use the browser version, and so do my pupils, because we have one-to-one iPads and it's nice and simple just to do that. When you log in, you get the following screen, which you should see just now. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with create. So I've split this session up into create, enhance, and then analyze. And we'll also play with the quiz in between so that you get to see it in action. So how do you create a lesson or a quiz? There's so many different ways, and I am not exaggerating with that. First thing you can do when you first come onto quizzes, you won't have any quizzes that you've already made. So the first thing you can do is search. So you can search for any topic, any kind of thing that you want. Now, what I'd like us to do is I'd like you to let me know just now in the comments a topic that you teach. So whether it's something that you're teaching at the moment, a topic that you're going to be teaching soon, or maybe it is your favourite topic, or maybe it's a topic where you're thinking, I really need to increase engagement in that. How do I do it? So if you give me some of those in the comments, what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal some of them and use them as we go through the session so I can show you lots of different ways that we can put those into practice. So I've got photosynthesis from Emma, I've got French pets, I've got Harry Potter, brilliant. I'm loving all of these, they sound fabulous. I'm going to use quite a lot of these as we go through. Perfect. Right, we'll start off with those. If anyone else has any extra ones they want to add, just stick them into the comments. But let's start off with, we'll go Harry Potter actually as one. So if I type in Harry Potter into the search bar and then see what comes up. Now, what you're going to see here is there are 231,500 results that have come up for this. Now, I should say that Quizzes already has a question bank on here of 40 million options of quizzes and also 400 million options for questions available already that teachers have made. So that means that we end up getting quite a lot of results. So if I want to filter these results, I can look down the left-hand side and I can use some of these filtering options. So maybe I want only quizzes or only lessons. Maybe I only want something that has 1 to 10 questions in it. Maybe I want something that's for a particular grade. Unfortunately, it is American grades, so you'll have to convert to Scottish. And you can even choose what ones you want in terms of languages, subjects, question types. Then what you can see when I scroll down is that I've got loads and loads of options, and when I hover over them on the right hand side of the screen, I get a preview of these. Now, if I like any of these, say I really like this one, I can play this straight away with my classes. I don't need to do anything else with it. I just hit that play button, let them join, which I'll show you how to do later, and we get going with it. So it's super quick and easy. And I think this would be amazing for things like cover, where you're thinking, right, how am I going to do something with them? How do I have time to make something? That's the simplest way to do it. What you can also do is you can save the quiz by using this button here. And if I save it, I can then edit it and I can change those questions or answers to be maybe something that I like better. I know I'm a bit fussy. I don't always like using other people's whole quizzes, so I might want to change them a little bit. Something else that you can do though, and I'm just going to show you this really quickly using an example I made earlier. So let's imagine I had my biology quiz, like I've got here. What I can do is I can actually teleport questions in. So if I've got a quiz and I want questions from other people's quizzes, this is the way I usually do it, is I usually go to the filter bit and then I type in something like photosynthesis, which Emma had mentioned, search, and then you'll see all of these different quizzes come up. And if I select them and I find a question I really like, I can then add that question in, and that goes straight into the quiz that I've already made. If I really like an entire quiz, so I find a really good one, I'm like, oh, these are brilliant, these 17 questions are amazing, I can add all 17 questions to my own quiz. Now, the reason I like this is when you do things like this on things like Quizlet, you only can take someone's whole quiz and then add to it yourself. You can add like smash together different quiz options. So this allows you to basically pull quizzes from anywhere. And if you also maybe make a quiz and you've maybe made a slightly different one, say it's the end of the topic and or the unit, and you want to do loads of questions from all over the year, you can also go to your own library and pull questions from there as well. So you can say, I want questions on this that I made before, and then pull them in to make one big quiz. So it's really, really easy to do. That teleport feature is available in any quiz that you've got, and you can take things from anywhere else. Now, that's a really handy way to do it if I have nothing to hand for this lesson already. But for most of us, we don't want to start from scratch. A lot of the time, we have other stuff that we want to use. So I'm going to show you some examples of that as well. On the whole, when I make a quiz or a lesson, I normally go to the create button on the left-hand side. And when I tap that, I get the option to either make a lesson or to make a quiz. I'm mainly going to focus on the quizzes, but you're going to play a lesson later on so that you can see the difference. With both options, I can create from scratch if I want to. If I know what questions I want to put in, I can just do it from scratch and write all of those questions myself. However, I don't always have that option. Maybe I don't have the time to do it, so I want to maybe pull some stuff from other places that might help. Let's imagine I have a lesson and I want to make it interactive by using my own slides and then adding questions in between each one. The option I have here is I can actually import Google Slides. So at the bottom here that you can see my mouse hovering over, I can click that button, I can upload my Google Slides, and it will do all the work and it'll add questions in between every few slides for me, which is brilliant. If I want to make a quiz rather than a full lesson, there's also lots of options here that I'm just going to run through just now. So say that I have a Google form. So let's say I've done loads of Google form quizzes and I don't want to have to take the time to make brand new questions in quizzes. You can upload your Google form and it'll create a quizzes quiz in a matter of seconds with all the same questions that you had on your Google form. The next thing I'm imagining you might be thinking is I don't use Google Forms. I use Blooket, or I use Kahoot, or I use Microsoft Forms, or some other quizzing platform, and I just don't have the time to make new quizzes and quizzes. That's it. Never fear. There is an incredible button that you're going to find basically on the bottom here that says from other quizzing platforms. And a lot of people don't know about this because this is quite new. Essentially, what quizzes have done is they've given you the option, if you click this button here, to give them the links to any other quizzes that you host elsewhere. So if you've got links from Blooket or Kahoot or Microsoft Forms or anything, you can just stick them into this form, submit it, and within 48 hours, the team at Quizzes will take that information and will basically turn it into a quizzes for you, and it'll be ready in your library, ready to go. The only caveat is they need to be public and they have to have all of the questions and answers displayed for that to work. And I can see Aileen's already saying that she's done this before. I saw someone the other day that submitted 60 plus quizzes that they'd already made over a number of years on other platforms, and within 48 hours, they were all in their quizzes library ready to go. How amazing is that? It's saving you time. You're not having to go through everything that you used to have and trying to transport it all over. They will do that job for you. So it's just something to keep in mind. And if you say there's people in your school who you think might want to use this, but they just don't have the time, get them to do that because it's such a great offer. Definitely take them up on it. Maybe you don't have any other quizzes already though, and you don't want to use someone else's. One of my favourite new features is the AI options within the Create a Quiz section. So we're going to spend a little bit of time running through these. So you can generate from text. Now what this means is I can put in a prompt to the AI and tell it what I would like my quiz to be about. Now you can keep it as basic as you want. So I might just do punctuation. I saw that coming up as an example. But instead, what I could potentially do is actually say a full bit of a course spec. If I'm a secondary science teacher or secondary history teacher or anything, I could take the information from my course and copy and paste it in. You can see there's 10,000 characters as a max limit, so you can put as much information in there as you need. You then need to select a grade. So I'm going to go for grade 5 for this. And I'm going to say it's English because we're talking about punctuation. And I can tell it how many questions I'd like it to generate. So 5, 8, 10, 15, or automatic. I'm just going to go for 5 just to make it simpler. And I'm going to tap generate question. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to try and understand that topic. Then it'll give me lots of subtopics and say, what are you actually trying to get them to do? Because I've not really given it very much information apart from one word. So I'm going to say things like applying proper quotation mark usage, knowing when to use exclamation marks, recognizing or understanding the use of apostrophes, maybe. And I can select as many of these as I want, or I can add some new topics underneath. And then I click continue and it'll generate a quiz with 5 questions for me based on that. Now you can see it coming up as it's doing it. It's very like ChatGPT in terms of you can see it as it goes along. You can pause this at any time or you can just let it keep going, but it's really, really handy and it's just going to make that really quickly within a few minutes. Now, when these are finished, which nearly is, I can edit these or I can add to them with my own questions as well. So there's lots of options in terms of what you might want to do. So if I don't like these, I can regenerate them or I can continue to editor and actually do something with them. So here we are. Here's the questions it came up with. Pretty good, I would say. Now, the next little thing I want to show you, that's just one option for using AI. I'm going to go back to here and create a quiz again. And this time we're going to look at if you don't want to put a prompt in, you can upload a document. So this means that you can upload a PowerPoint, slides, PDF, doc, anything, whatever you want, and turn it into a quiz. The AI will basically read it and will then pull out all of the bits that it thinks would be good for questions and again give you a set of questions based on whatever you upload. So it doesn't matter what you currently have in terms of resources for your lessons or for your classes, you can just stick them in here and the AI will do the rest of the work. So I'm going to show you a quick version of this. So I'm going to upload a document and I'm going to use an existing document. So I can upload from my device or I can import from Google Drive, which is what I'm going to do. So it's going to open up a quick other screen. You'll have to sign in to your Google Drive if you're going to use that, and you'll have to give it permissions to be able to use basically your Google Drive and to access documents there. When you're done, you can then type in what you need in your Google Drive, so wherever there's anything there. But remember, you don't need to use Google. If you don't, it's absolutely fine. You can basically just upload something like a PowerPoint or something directly. So I found the one on photosynthesis here. I'm going to double click it and upload it. And it will take a little bit of time because it's obviously quite a large document. And when it's uploaded, I will then do the same thing I just did before. Here we go. Select what grade I want it to be for. So this is a wee bit harder. So I'm going to say grade 8. I'm going to go down to say it's about biology. And then I can generate questions. Now, I've got the option here of whether I want pupils to be able to see this document as well. So say it's like a PDF or something that I'm uploading. Maybe I want the pupils to be able to read that too. So you've got the option there to include that or not. Again, I'm going to generate questions. And you can decide, is it the document you've uploaded, does it already have questions in it? Or is it a document that has a lot of information and you want the AI to generate those questions instead? So for example, if I'm uploading a past paper, I would use the question bank option on the left because there's already loads of questions in there. I don't need new ones. I just wanted to pull them out. But if I'm uploading a PowerPoint that has no questions in it, I want the AI to make it for me instead. So I'm going to do question bank because I've got some questions already in my PowerPoint. Click generate questions. And again, it'll take a minute or two to do it. Now, if you are a busy person, which I'm sure all of you are, you can minimize this window while it's generating in the background. So you can minimize it down, get on with the rest of your work, do some other things, and it'll give you a wee notification when it's ready and when it's ready to go, which is quite handy. And you can see the progress bar at the bottom, letting me know how long it's going to take. Now, I think this is incredible that I've just uploaded a really big PowerPoint with a lot of images, a lot of information, and I've told it to read the entire thing and come up with questions for me. And you saw that it took less than a minute. The max it'll take is 3 minutes to do something, and that's if it's a really, really big file. So I'm going to view this quiz just now and see if I like it. So we'll open it up, and you can see there it's given me 23 questions all about my PowerPoint that I've uploaded into it. So I think that's really, really handy. Now, one thing you're going to notice is it sometimes does this, right? So it struggles with images at the moment, but there's a really easy way to sort it. So it says here that it's added 7 images, but they've got missing media. So you just click add image, and then what you can do is you can go into the document and you can basically clip the bits that you need. So I actually want it to be that image there, save, and you can just work your way through really quickly through those ones just to make sure they actually have a photo attached that is correct. So I'm just going to discard that for now. Now, again, I can edit this in the same way that I did before. I can teleport questions in using the search bar at the top, and I can add my own questions using this bit at the bottom saying create new question. The other thing that I can do, which I really like, which you can see here, is you can add questions using AI. So let's say it's made 23 questions or whatever many, but I quite like it to be 25 or whatever. I can then click add questions using AI, and it'll usually come up with a wee one. Now, obviously, I've let it just make as many as it wanted on it originally, so it's given me quite a lot of questions already. But if I'd only made it make 5 questions, you can then use that button to add a few more if you want to, if it can think of any. So, next thing that I want to do, if that hasn't already blown your mind, because honestly, this has gotten so much better than it was a few years ago when I used to use it. Another thing that might save you time is when you go to create and create quiz, you can go to this one at the bottom, which says convert URL to quiz. This is my favourite one. So let's say that you have found a good video for your topic, or maybe you have made one yourself. As long as that video from YouTube has a transcription, the AI feature in quizzes can read the video and can create questions based on it. So I'm going to show you a little example of this. So I'm just going to open this up. Actually, let's do this one because it's here already. Why do you procrastinate even though it feels bad? Now, I know that experience. I am a big procrastinator, and I'm just going to copy the URL from that, okay, from that YouTube. I'm then going to go back. So when I go into here, all I do is upload any link from the web, copy and paste my YouTube video link, select the grade that I want it to be for. So again, we'll say that this one is quite a high grade. I can decide what it is for, what subject, and again, I can decide the question. So I'm just going to say 5. The other thing that you can do is you can trim YouTube videos, which is really good. So I used to give a lot of videos for my classes for like homework or extra information. But a lot of the time what I found on YouTube are videos that were really long and that went into way too much detail than what I wanted. So you can trim the video here and just take out the specific section that you want your pupils to answer questions on. Finally, you've got the option to make it an interactive video quiz, and I'll explain that as I let it generate the video. So I'm going to hit that button. Now, to explain what that meant in terms of interactive video quizzes, it basically reads the video, creates questions based on it. But what we have here is essentially when I've had pupils doing this before, where I tell them to watch a video, I never knew if they actually watched the video or not. A lot of the time they would do the questions anyway and wouldn't actually, like, I could make sure they were definitely watching it. And I know because I made loads of National 5 biology videos in lockdown. So what I could do is to make sure that they're actually paying attention is I used to use things like Edpuzzle, which is a paid subscription. Your school has to pay for it to use it. But Quizzes now has its own version of it. So if I upload this video and I say I want an interactive video, what this means is I'll get a video with questions interspersed throughout it. And what will then happen is I can give this to people. So you can see here, I've got 5 questions and you can see where they are within the video. And basically I can give pupils this video. I can assign it to them as homework or classwork, and at certain points in the video it's going to pause and it's going to ask them one of these questions. They have to answer the question to be able to move on. They can't skip. And this is a way to double check that the pupils have actually engaged with the video. It depends on how you want to use it. If the pupils you're doing this as homework, that's a great way of doing it. If you're doing it in class, you could also show it and get them to answer it at different points as well. So you might just want it to just be a quiz rather than an interactive video. So for that option, you would just toggle off on that screen that we had before. So I think that's a really amazing feature, again, that not everyone knows about. Now you can also imagine that it's not a video that you put in. I didn't say it had to be a video. So in that option in quiz, you can convert any URL to a quiz. So maybe you teach history and you found a brilliant article that you want the pupils to answer questions on. Maybe you're a science teacher and you want to develop scientific literacy and comprehension. Well, that button there will allow you to take any URL and basically turn it into a quiz that can be used from any website. So it can take any web-based content and convert it into a really engaging activity really quickly, because you can see there that again only took a couple of minutes. So if I'm needing something, particularly things like extension activities, or if I'm wanting to do things that are to do with literacy and reading, this is a really, really good way to do it. So that is how you create something from scratch or using some of the other information. So as I said, I've shown you a gazillion different ways there that you can create a quiz. So you can do it from your own lessons, your own slides, your own PDFs or documents, or any videos or websites that you've found. Or you can just take someone else's that's already there and edit it if you want to. But what we're going to speak about now is how you can enhance that quiz. So how you can take that quiz or lesson and make it better using the features that are built in with quizzes. So for this, I'm going to use a little example. So I'm going to make a quiz again, and I'm going to use a URL. I'm going to go to BBC Bite Size and take this bit on multiplying and dividing positive and negative numbers. And I'm going to steal that URL from there. And what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to paste this link in so that it basically makes the quiz for me. And then I'm going to use the features that are within the AI to then basically make it better than what it was before. So it's being slightly slow at the moment. So I'm going to get it to generate a small quiz for me, 5 questions on maths at grade level 6 we'll go for, because I'm not very good at it, and we'll get it to generate. Now, once this generates, you can enhance it using different AI features. So you can either enhance whole quizzes or you can enhance particular questions instead. So we're going to start with the whole quizzes option in a little second, and I'm going to show you lots of different ways that you can just click buttons to basically enhance your quiz within seconds. So while this is going, I'll just explain a little bit about them. So you can either improve your quiz by differentiating. So there's lots of options for differentiating. There's also lots of ways you can modify it as well. So you can see here's my basic questions, my 5 that I've got. Along the top, I can make this better using Quizzes AI. So I can modify the quiz. Now, the options here, I can fix grammatical errors. So if I have made any errors or I'm one of those people that makes quite a lot of errors, I click this button and the AI will double check the quiz for me for any issues or spelling mistakes, etc. If I find that I don't particularly like these questions, or maybe I've used them once with a class and I want a different set of similar questions, I can tap the replace with a similar question option. I can also add 3 similar questions. So if I don't think my quiz is long enough, maybe it's 10 minutes till the end of my lesson and I've only got 5 questions, I might say, right, add another few similar questions. And again, the AI will do it for me. I can also translate the language, which I really like for this. So I can basically go down. These are just some options for changing the language, but actually there's loads. If you click not listed here, there's so many other options. So for example, if I have someone in my class who maybe speaks Ukrainian as their first language, I can convert my quiz into Ukrainian in 2 clicks so that they can take part as well. The other thing that you can do, which is quite good fun, is you can add a custom prompt. Now, I'm not going to do this at the moment because it's just going to take too long to generate, but I've seen some brilliant ones of this. So you can tell it to basically do the quiz, but do the quiz in the kind of style of Shakespeare speaking, or do it in the style, I've done Yoda, that was great last week when I was doing it. You can, it's not just making it speak things, but you can customize. If you can think of something that isn't in this list here, you can do a custom prompt and let it know what you want it to do, how you want it to change it, and it will go away and do that for you. The other thing it can do is it can differentiate. Now, differentiation is such a huge thing, so there's loads of options here. So again, you can translate the language, we went through that already, but this is one of my favorites. So convert to real world scenarios. So if we look at these questions, they're quite dry, okay, aren't they? They're just, what is the result of this by this? We know that in maths exams, maths textbooks, and lots of other textbooks, there's a context around those questions. So there's basically, this is basically the umbrella question, or all those ones that I've heard about before for Nat 5 or higher maths in previous years, but it will help the pupils engage more. So if I click convert to real world scenario, and I let it do its thing just now, what it's going to do is it's going to take those questions, and as you can see here, it's giving me a little context around them. So if John divides 12 apples among his 4 friends negatively, how many apples does his friends lose? it's one of these ones where it's nice. It gives it a little bit of extra stuff round about it. I really like it. I think it's a really nice way of enhancing your quiz and adding a little bit of extra information. So we can see there's my final options. I can decide if I like them or I want to change them. And if I really like them, I can tap Save Changes and it'll save it into my quiz. So I think that's a really, really nice way of just making those questions a little bit more exciting. And I don't have to have the imagination to think of all these different real world contexts for all my questions. That button does it for me. Another way I can differentiate is I can reduce the options. So let's say, for example, I'm doing quite a difficult topic with my classes. It's the first time we're going to do this quiz. I don't think they're going to do very well if they have 4 options for every single question. So I can reduce the options down to 2, and that'll do it automatically. It'll keep the right one and one that's wrong as well. This button is brilliant, add answer explanation. So what this means is how often do we have time to go over every answer to a quiz? If we do a quiz with our classes, if you're like me, I know that I look at the results, quite often they're quite wide ranging, go well done, and then we move on to something else. Or maybe I'll pick out 1 or 2 questions that the whole class did quite poorly and we'll go over it live together. Okay. Or if you're limited, so see for things like Kahoot, you're given a few seconds to quickly explain it and then it moves on to the next one. What you can do here is you can get AI to add answer explanations for all of them. So you can see here, I've just clicked that button and it's now given me explanations for why those are the right answers for each one. It's brilliant. And okay, you might want to double check them, make sure you're happy with those explanations before sharing them with the pupils, but that has saved so much time. And again, I can just say, yep, I'm going to take that, I'll save the change. I'm not going to at the moment. And if I save that, I can then go in and edit it and change it to something that sounds a bit more like me, but it gives me that starting point instead. Finally, out of our AI enhancements, we can talk about improving engagement, which is what this session is all about. So these are some brilliant ones here. So I can add a theme to a topic. So imagine I'm a primary teacher and we are studying Harry Potter, okay, or Roald Dahl or something, okay, as part of the literacy. Let's say I then want to do some maths with my pupils and we're going to do a quizzes. I might want to link that Roald Dahl literacy aspect to these maths questions. So if I add a theme, I can choose any theme I want and I could say, do this whole maths quiz in the style of Roald Dahl. And it'll give me characters from the books and it'll basically put it all together so that it's really engaging and is linked to something else I'm doing. Another thing we can do, which I really love, is you can add student names. So for example, on this call today, I know we've got Charlene, we've got Helen, we've got Emma, etc. Sorry, I'm not going to put in all of them just now, but I can click Enhance Quiz. And what it'll now do is it'll take those context questions that I made earlier and it'll add the pupils' names to them. Now, I know that, there we go. So down the right-hand side now, we've got different options using those names that I just put in. Now, I love that because I know I have a friend who did a textbook, made a textbook, and he put my name in the textbook, and I was so excited. Imagine how your pupils will feel if their names are the ones in those scenarios as well. So it's just a nice, really easy way of getting the AI just to make it a little bit more engaging for pupils. Now, if you're not sure how you want to improve engagement, there's this one here, which is hilarious. Make all questions fun. Just let the AI do its thing. What it does is it adds usually quite a lot of emojis and various like kind of, I don't know, different language just to make it a little bit more fun rather than a bit dry. So these are all options that should hopefully help you improve engagement. Now, that's how to do it for the whole quiz, but you actually can use those AI features on individual questions. To do that, you have to publish the quiz and you have to go in to edit it. And then you'll have this little option beside it. So I'll just show you it quite quickly. So if I go in here and I go to edit, this was a quiz I made earlier, you'll see that there basically is a little wand button that comes up beside each one. And you can basically edit it and you can add those suggestions to it basically. So you can do any of those prompts, but just do it on the individual questions rather than on the whole quiz if you don't want to. So maybe there's one dry question that you really want to make better, you can do it that way instead, which is quite nice. So there are lots of other options as well within that. I'm not going to go into loads of detail. If you want to replace with different things, you can. Yeah, it's just a really, really nice way of doing it. But I'm going to stay in here and I'm just going to show you one other thing really quickly before we try this all out together. I absolutely love comprehension questions. So I used to sit for ages and try and make a question that would be like a literacy question for my class. But what you can do now is if you create the new question, you can go to comprehension. Now we're going to come back to all of these in a minute. We're going to try all of them out. But I'm going to go comprehension, and you can basically create a kind of literacy passage for pupils and have questions made that match that. So let's say, for example, I can add text in manually. So maybe there's an article I found that I really want them to do questions on. I can copy and paste it directly in. I can upload a PDF, or I can generate with AI. So what I'm going to do is I think someone said French pet names. So maybe French pet names. And I'm going to make this 5th grade. I'm going to say I only want 3 paragraphs, and then click continue. And what that's going to do is it's going to generate a passage for me. And obviously it's going for actual pet names, but this will be quite interesting. So it's going more for the history of it because I've not selected the right thing there. But let's go popular French names of pets because I think that's quite fun and cultural variation. Click generate, and it's going to basically create a passage for me quite quickly, 2 or 3 paragraphs, and also the questions that go alongside it for pupils to answer questions on. It's a really, really nice way. So you can see here it's got it, and it's going to generate the questions on the right. And you can edit this as much as you want. It's completely up to you, and you can change it so that it's not multiple choice, it's fill in the blanks, whatever you want. But I really, really like it. I think this is something that I don't do a lot with my classes because I don't have time to go and find a passage, or I don't have time to come up with all the questions for it. So I just thought that was a nice one to show you as a little example of a way that we can do it. Okay, time for the interactive part now. So that was just a quick run through of all of the AI features that are now in quizzes and how you set up a quiz. What we're going to do now is I'm actually going to get you to pretend you are pupils, and I'm going to do a quick live lesson with you so that you've got a chance to try all of the interactive questions. So if I make a quiz or a lesson, I just go to start live lesson. I then have lots of options here that I can change. So I can change start times for activities. I can change whether it shows on your like devices, whatever. I can shuffle answer options. I can make it make fun names for you, which I'm not going to do at the moment just because I want to know your names for later. And when I'm ready, all I do is just click present. And what that'll do is it'll bring up this page, and you're going to join it. Now, while you're joining it, I'll explain another couple of things that I didn't do there. But you can either go to joinmyquiz.com on your other device and type in the code, or you can scan the QR code that's on the screen just now. It's going to ask you then to put your name in. Pupils don't need an account. They can just get onto it straight away, which is brilliant. And while you're doing that, I'll have a few explanations of a couple of other things. So I'll leave that on the screen for a little second. One thing I haven't had the chance to talk about, and I might make you a little video on this later, is the different types or modes of quizzes that you can set. So you don't have to do, like I'm about to do, like a Kahoot style quiz where you're all doing it all at the same time. The thing that I loved quizzes for originally was that you could set a quiz for a class and they could all do it at their own pace. And that's a way of differentiating in itself. That was my favourite feature. And it's not what I'm going to show you right now, but it is really, really good. And so try and use the classic version and see what it's like when you go away to try this. There's also a version of it called paper mode, where it's almost like plickers, if you've ever used it before, where pupils have bits of paper and can hold them up. That's if you don't have devices in your classroom. There's also a brand new mode that I am desperate to try, which is basically one where there's like a hill and the kids have to master the topic to get to the top of the hill. And it's got loads of little mini games and different things in the middle of it. So definitely try that one out and let me know how you get on with it. Excellent. Thank you, Aileen. So mountain mode is great. I love the look of it. It looks fabulous. But you can also do a team mode where you get pupils to almost work in teams. Their scores all get added together. So it's a bit more competitive, but not based on individual scores. So Mastery Peak, that's the name of the other one. Or there's also an option for assessment as well, where you don't get all the fun memes and music and all that kind of stuff. So there's loads of different ways that you can play it. Unfortunately, I don't have time to show you all of them today, but we are basically going to try out a lesson so that you can see a few things about that. So I'm just double checking that I have everyone on. So let me just double check and make sure. So I've got Aileen, but yeah, 5. So I'm going to start this quiz. This is a lesson, okay, not a quiz. So it means I can have other slides in it as well. So So I'll open this here. Now, first thing I want you to do is I want you to try raising your hand. So at the bottom middle of your screen, you will see a little hand button that is a kind of orangey yellow colour. If you tap that, it will raise your hand. And what that means for me as a teacher is I can see some people need more help and I can see their names, or some people need more time and I can see their names as well. So that's a really nice way of double checking basically what people's might need help. Maybe they don't want to tell the whole class they need help. You can see it on your device instead. Now I'm going to lower your hands for now, but do let me know if you need anything else. I'll come back to live whiteboard in a wee second, but the other option we also have is spin the wheel. So I can spin the wheel like this and it will land on someone's name. Now you can use that for questioning anything you want. It's a really nice wee feature that's built in. So every pupil that's joined will be added to that wheel as well. But the main point of this bit is I want you to try out the different question types. When I first started using quizzes all these years ago, it was basically just multiple choice. But there are now 19 different question types and they're adding more every day. So I want you to get the chance to see it from the pupil's point of view. So I've put together a mixture of questions from lots of different subjects and we're going to give these a little try so that you can see it. So the first question is going to be this one about harpsichords. This is a nice wee music question. It is a pin on one. So it's basically you have to tell me which one is the harpsichord and I'll basically see which person's right. So you tap the area that you want to choose and you press submit and that'll give me the answer. So I can see already that Moira and Aileen have answered the question already. There's Becky just coming up next. So tap what one you think is a harpsichord and tap submit for me and I'll be able to see it here. Perfect. I've got Emma, she's answered as well. Excellent. I've got Heather. Thank you so much. And you can see as a teacher, this is quite useful. So they've all got it on their own devices. I don't have to have this on the screen. I can have my own device turned or my screen turned off and I can be focusing on my pupils. Now, I'm just going to end the question because we are going to have to get through it quite quickly. All done, and then I can go over that answer with my class if I want to. I can see the responses in response view and I can show these to the class if I want to as well. I know, what's a harpsichord? I chose a really hard one. I'm sorry. I thought I wanted one to make sure we got some wrong answers. I'm going to go on to the next slide. There's going to be quite a lot of questions like that, Emma, where some things are going to be things people know, some are not. I want you to match the options to the geographic features. So you're going to have hills, mountains, and sea, and you're going to basically drag those things into the right places. So you've got these options, you drag them over and you put them under the right section. So this is a little categorizing type question, which I quite like. As a biology teacher, I'm thinking this would be great because I could do my different cells or osmosis versus diffusion. If you were a languages teacher, you could do adjectives, nouns, verbs and get them to sort them out as well. We have our first person handed in. Well done. There's lots of different ways that you could use this. These are just showing you examples of how it works in practice. So you can drag them all under the one you think's right and then just hit submit for me and that'll show you, yeah, one example. So I've got a couple in here. Well done. I'm really keen for us to try all the questions, so I'm not giving us as much time as I normally would with this, because I do have quite a few slides, but I think you'll hopefully have got the idea that you drag things into the right place and then you hit submit. So I'm going to end question there and I'm going to move on to the next one. Sorry, I know people really want to be competitive and will want to win this. So for this one, you're going to choose 2 woodwind instruments out of these. Yay, we've got loads of people who are good at this one. Well done. Excellent. Now, while we're waiting, I might show you this whiteboard feature at the moment. So I absolutely love this. So as a teacher, I can click whiteboard and I can basically draw on my screen in front of the pupils. So I can say, so this one is a woodwind instrument because, and this one isn't because, and I can use all of these tools on the side. But what I can also do is I can allow you to draw as well. And as a teacher, if you look at my screen, I can see what you all are drawing. So I could do this one where maybe I've done a question, a lot of people have got it wrong, maybe it's a labeling exercise or something, and I then give them the opportunity, right, fix it. You've now got a pen on your screen, now fix it for me, do it better, etc. And I just think that's a really lovely feature. A lot of other things don't have. So I can end that whenever I want. And I can also change the background on it. So if I want to give them a new cell or something to label, they can do that as well. Right, I'm going to proceed again to the next one. Our next question, match the correct flag, the country to the correct flag. Okay, so again, it's a kind of draggy drop type one, but they're all slightly different, categorize, match. They're slightly different titles for different questions, but they work in a very similar way. So if you give that one a wee try. drag them into the right place, and then hit submit. Fabulous. Well done. So again, if I was a teacher and I was actually teaching you this, I would then go to this view and I would explain, or I would go to full question view and actually go through it and properly explain the answers to you. But this is just for you to try it out. So we're skipping through them a little bit quicker than I normally would. Okay, let's try another one. So for this one, fill in the missing house. Now I love that someone mentioned Harry Potter earlier. So Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Slytherin, and what? So this is a typing one. So again, it's showing you that it doesn't all need to be multiple choice or dragging. You can have ones where they're having to write answers as well. And the nice thing about this one is it auto marks. So I can put in, just like you would in a Google form, that I will accept this as an answer, and it will basically mark it for me so that I don't have to do it. So the answer was Ravenclaw, if anyone hasn't got it. But again, I'm just going to end that question and move on to the next one because it's quite a basic one that I want you to get more of a chance for the ones that are a wee bit different. Okay, our next question, just coming up on the screen just now. You're going to reorder. I love this one. So reorder from oldest on the left to newest on the right. So you can see this history example, but this could be for anything. So again, I'm thinking science, processes, PE, if you're going to get them to do different stages of a routine, they could order that as well. Maybe you're baking with them and you want to put them in the right order if you're a home economics teacher. There's so many options for this one, and you just put in the options. Again, it marks itself. They can drag it in whatever order, and then you can go over the answers as a class. So I really love that one. That's one of the ones that's my favourite now. I think it's so useful, and it's not on every site for every quizzing platform. Another one. So drag the correct stage to the tomato life cycle. Now, again, I'm not judging you if you get this right or wrong. When I tried this earlier, I found this one a little bit fiddlier. This one, although it says drag, I think you can't really drag, at least on my iPad, I couldn't. You have to tap it and tap the right place, and it'll go into the right box. So tap the one you want, tap the box you want it to go into, and it'll do that. But again, you can see how if you have any diagrams of your subject that you want pupils to label, this is a brilliant one to be able to use. You just take the diagram, add the text box on it, and you can also search for images within quizzes. So you don't have to go and find one somewhere else. You can search Google within quizzes to find your image. So again, it's quite a nice wee one. I'm so sorry again if anyone's not finished. I'm going to end that one and go on to the next one again, just so that we get through all of these examples. There we go. Everyone was getting it right. Well done. Next one. So for anyone who is teaching some maths. Now, the graphing feature, they're hopefully going to add a bit more to this, but for plotting points as a practice, it's really, really good. So you can basically get them to plot the points on the graph that you've provided. And again, this would be a nice one to view the responses on the teacher screen and then explain them a little bit with everyone else. So I think it's quite nice. So again, you'll get the idea. Just basic plotting for graphs. Unfortunately, there's no options for doing bar graphs and stuff just yet, but you can request things to quizzes, so I'm maybe going to do that soon. And again, I'm just going to end that and move on to the next one so that we can do the next little part. So as you can see, there's so many different examples of questions. I'm trying to give you a little bit of a flavour of some of them. But yeah, there's so many different ones that we could be here all day. This one I really like. So again, it's a drag kind of one. So you're dragging over what you think each object is. So is it less dense, more dense, or the same density as the pictures in the diagram when you're looking at the water? So again, it's a nice little one of just dragging options, text options into different places to finish the sentences. So this is a kind of fill in the blanks, but with options already available. Now, I am super aware of time, so again, I'm going to finish that and move it on because they're still my favourite ones to come. I've basically done them from like, all right, all the way up to like my favourite questions. So let's have a wee look at another one just now. So this one is just a drop down. So drop down and select. Again, really good for differentiating some of your pupils. Nice and simple one there. So I think most people have handed that in. Again, I'll flick on to the next one. We're now getting into the fun stuff. So, thing. This one, if I'm thinking right. Try to remember what it was that I put here earlier. Yes, so audio responses. I'm not going to make you really do this unless you want to, but you can do audio responses with your pupils now in quizzes. So I could say to them, read this aloud. So you can practice pronunciation. Saying pronunciation wrong is hilarious. And you can also get them to like read out passages, maybe practice certain phrases that you want them to practice just by using the record option. And then you've got all the recordings that you can then go back and look at after as well, which I just think is amazing. It's such a good way of gathering responses from pupils. So if you're wanting them to practice some of their reading or their speaking, a really, really good way of doing it and giving them that option. But I am not gonna, someone's already put theirs in, thank you. But again, I'm gonna just skip on there. But that I just think that's such a cool option that's not available on most other quizzing platforms. So I really, really like it. So Becky's is in here, and I could play that if I wanted to myself or the rest of the class. But I am going to move on. I'm not going to embarrass her. We've got a couple other questions to go, but I just wanted to show you this. So in lessons, not quizzes, in lessons for quizzes, which is what this is, you can have quiz questions, you can have slides, but you can also embed websites. So here I have the PHET website where you can all on your devices at the moment play this simulation. So this website's brilliant. If you haven't seen it and you're a science teacher or you teach maths, it's really, really good. But I can do it, so I can show you what to do on my screen, but you can also do it on your own screens as well. And I've embedded that so you don't have to go out to a different website or go and open it in Safari or anything. And you can basically play about with it and learn using it. So I think this is amazing that you can embed this straight into the lesson on people's devices. I know you might be really having fun playing that, but I'm going to show you another couple. So if I move the slide on, WordWall is also one of my favorite things to use. So if you use WordWall or you've ever used it before, you can all put your own names in here. You can enter and you can do the game, the flashcard game, work out the true falses, etc. And again, I just am amazed that you can do that within that presentation that you've joined. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't work for all websites, but I tried a few today and it worked on quite a few of them. So I really would recommend using it. I think it's great having it all in one place and not having to put separate links up for pupils to follow to different places. Next question. I know we're really running short of time, so I'm going to finish in a little minute. But this is a drawing feature, so I want you to draw how you're now feeling about AI. And I've given you an emoji, like fake kind of face. I want you to draw on top of it how you are feeling at the moment now that I've shown you lots of AI features during this session. And I'm going to have a quick wee look at people's responses. Oh, excellent. We've got loads of happy faces, which is great. No scared faces, which I'm really glad about, because I know we have been going through this quite quickly. Oh, one that's but hopefully it's in a good way, as in there are so many things that you can do with it. So that's a drawing feature. So again, you can provide a backdrop or you can just leave it as a blank slide and pupils can draw responses. So again, if you're one of these subjects, I know in science, that's really handy. I can ask them to draw an animal cell, plant cell, etc. It's a really nice way of getting some information from them. So again, I'm going to end that there. And we've got a couple more to go. I might run a couple of minutes over. I'm so sorry, but I just want to show you these last couple of things. So this one, I'm not going to make you do it. But yes, oh, no, this one's a poll one. So it's just a nice poll, nice and simple. How likely are you to use quizzes now? Okay, so it's 4 all the way down to, or sorry, very likely all the way down to not at all likely. Good, likely. I'm glad. Okay, excellent. And then my next one is a wee word cloud. So again, quizzes has the things that other quizzing platforms have. So you can do things like word clouds, polls, short responses, those types of things. So I think the next one might be this. So what's your favourite feature that you've learned about today in one word or 2 words? I think it maybe lets you do maximum. AI quizzes, yay! Fabulous, good style, AI features, amazing. I'm glad we really like those. Fabulous. Uploading docs, good. I know it saves so much time. It's really, really easy. Different question types is brilliant. Fabulous, thank you. Right, I've got one more question type to show you. And I love this one as well. So it builds on that audio response thing that I spoke about before. You can get pupils to upload videos as well, as in videos of themselves. So I'm going to end this one. I'm not going to do the question one. I'm just going to skip that. The last one I want to show you is the one where you can do a video response. So pupils can film themselves speaking through an answer, I don't know, reciting something as well, if we're going to go back to that. So you can basically do a little video, which is lovely. And again, I can set how long the video can be, and pupils, again, just film them really quickly on their device, input them, and I've got all the videos here that I can then watch and use later. So again, it saves that thing of people's having to make videos, upload them to a certain place. It can get really frustrating. They can just do that on here. Now, I know you might be leaving me lovely quick hello goodbye videos, but I am going to end the question there just to show you this last little bit. Thank you so much, though, if you did. So as I said, you can embed things, as I mentioned before. Oh, there's Emma. So I've embedded a Google form. Now, I'm not 100% finished yet. I might go on for one more minute just to show you a couple of things right at the end. But this is basically the Google form for the feedback for today's lesson. So again, if you're doing Google Forms or things with pupils, they can do it within this on their iPad. Okay, they can do it there, which is great, and fill that out. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to close that it so that you can give me some feedback later on about today. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my slides and I'm basically going to move on just to the last few because we are out of time for today, which is a shame. So just running through what we've been through so far, we've done a whistle-stop tour of quizzes. If you want to learn more about quizzes, there are lots of options here. So there's a Facebook group, there are courses on the quizzes website, so you can do one just on AI. It takes about 20 minutes, half an hour. There is a game changer course, which goes through all the features of quizzes. There are different learning pathways as well that all take about 20 minutes each. I know we all need our CPD at the end of the year to add on to our profiles. You can do those. They're all brilliant. I can really recommend them. You've also got the YouTube channel for quizzes, which speaks through all of the things that I've gone through today. There's little short videos on each of them, and there's also a blog page for it as well. So there's lots of places that you can learn more information if you're excited by what you saw today and you want to learn a bit more. Now, obviously, if you're in Falkirk, I am here. And if you have any questions, just invite me into your school, send me an email, whatever. I am happy to yabber on about quizzes to anyone that will listen to me. So please don't think that this session is a one-off. Let me know if you need a hand with absolutely anything that I have mentioned today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send out these links to you in an email tomorrow morning, and we'll send out the recording on Monday. So you'll have all of this as well, and you'll be able to look at those courses in a little bit more detail. So I just want to finish off by saying thank you so much for your time this afternoon. It was really lovely to meet you all, and I hope you learned a little bit about quizzes or some new features that you haven't seen before.